So our group is the Green Devils, and we're going to be discussing the advantages of aquaponic farming versus traditional farming. Our audience will be targeted towards new farmers, and the farmers we have in mind are individuals who are just getting into the idea of farming, or farmers who have been out of the business for 10 years. Our roles are going to be as follows. We have Junpei here, who's going to be working on the calculations, which consists of the cost. He will also be constructing our cash flow diagram and any other estimates that are needed. We have Wu, who will be working on our discussion, which will be about the feasibility and future applications of the methods. We have Tim, who will be working on the research, and the research will consist of methodology, growth rates, prices, any other background information we need, and I will be focusing on the writing, which will be just formatting all of the information we gather and organizing what we have.
Okay, so in aquaponics, generally all it consists of is fish and your actual crops. The aquaponics system itself typically has some kind of container right here that houses the actual crops. It has soil in there, it's not just water, it actually sits in the soil. So here we actually have the bacteria that is naturally growing there. Plants of course need food, that food just happens to be stuff called nitrites and nitrates. So as the water that ends up being pumped all the way up into it waters the plants, transports nutrients, and then whatever is left over, being that it has no more nutrients in it, goes back into the fish. The fish excrete waste, and from their feeding, that's really the only thing that actually goes into the system other than the seeds in the soil. So the fish end up eating, they continue to grow, thus becoming one of our crops also, one of our things to gather revenue. So from the fish, they excrete, and then bacteria called nitrosomonas convert the ammonia from the water to nitrites. From the nitrites, it actually goes to another bacteria that converts it into nitrates, which the plants can actually use to continue growing. This cycle will continue as long as there's water, and that you feed the fish, and that the fish that start out as fingerlings, which are small tiny fish, will continue to grow, and it'll just keep going through that cycle.
Okay, so for our cost analysis, these are the things that we're mainly going to be focusing on. For our costs, we have two categories. We have initial investments and recurring expenses. For the initial investment, we'll have things like any farm equipment that's necessary, land of course, any buildings that have to be constructed, and then there's agricultural licensing fees associated with being a farmer. And for recurring expenses, we have things like seeds, fish feed, the cost of water and electricity to keep all the equipment running, fingerlings, which are basically baby fish, and we also have the cost of labor. And then for the revenue, in both cases, for the traditional farming and the aquaponics, we'll have just the crops, and then for the aquaponics, we'll also have fish as part of our products. And for as far as potential obstacles we might run into, lack of data is certainly a big possibility because the aquaponics is a relatively new technology, and the economic viability of it still hasn't been studied very in depth. And as you saw over there, our COVA scores are very similar. So there might be some conflicts there.